DLC, game add-ons that are supposed to add more content to a game, whether it be through gameplay or story, for a small price. That will overall improve the player's experience with the game and give them that little bit extra of content for when they've completed the main game and want something else to do after the story of the game is over. Most of the time, DLCs are story expansions, which give the player a chance to experience that little bit more of the main game's story through a side type event, in which would be the DLC. Some great examples of this would be games such as Fallout New Vegas, Batman Arkham Knight, or even Skyrim. All games which have great DLC stories, which give the player just that little bit extra of great story-based content and lore once the main game is over, or even during the main game. But not all DLCs are great, or even story add-ons for that matter. And even when they are, many of them fall short of anything special. And that's what brings us on to today's topic of review. Still Wakes the Deep is a video game I did a review on around 10 months ago. Oh, damn. I loved the game at the time, but wasn't actually sure if we would see anything else from the game and its setting. But just a few weeks ago, the devs released a surprise trailer for a story DLC for the main game, titled Sirens Rest. So I knew what I had to do. It's time to review Still Wakes the Deep Sirens Rest. And let's see if this DLC was needed, adds something to the main game, and was overall a great story DLC. Once you use your cold hard cash to buy the DLC, you will be able to click play on a pop-up on the bottom right hand side of the normal main menu screen, which will take you under the deep ocean and to the new main menu of the DLC. This main menu is great. It clearly tries to replicate the normal main menu for the game, having white writing on the left hand side of the screen and then the background piece in the distance on the right hand side of the screen. The original main menu of course featured the oil rig, but this time around this one features an underwater submarine or submersible. This clearly being the only lit up thing in this deep, dark ocean. Not only instantly giving you an uncomfortable feeling of just how large scale the ocean really is, and how small this little submarine is. Calling it a submarine is even a bit of a push, as it's more like a box in the ocean that can be moved up and down by a small cord attached to it from above the sea. To top it off, there's absolutely no music in this background, just sounds of the sea pushing up against the submersible in the dark ocean. As for the options and the UI, it's very easy to operate, and there are two difficulties to pick from, both of these difficulties being the same ones used for the base game. Basically, super easy, I only want to hear about story.
Shoot a gun, dog. Learn how to fucking shoot a gun, you pussy. Riot shield. What else do you want me to do? Oh, riot shield. I'm a pussy that use riot shield.
Or, yeah, alright, a little bit of difficulty.
Короче, надо быть ближе к его ногам. Все, рептилоида я выделил. Хоп, нихуя, да? Давай сюда. Ой, блядь, нихуя. Ой, блядь. Ой-ой-ой, въебал! Да, блядь, заебал! Ты рот ебать, блядь! Я не могу его убить, блядь! Я не могу его убить!
You can also watch the credits, look at what collectibles you are missing from the DLC, and also, of course, start the game. This main menu is much like the original one. It sets the tone of the game perfectly and is also easy to navigate and use. It helps to create the atmosphere for the game and an overall uneasy sense before the player even starts the game. To sum it up, I absolutely love it. Much like I loved the first main menu screen, this one is perfect. The game starts by showing the year to the player, telling the player that we are around 10 years in the future from when the original Still Wakes the Deep took place. The game also tells us the meters under the sea level that we are. From this we can tell, probably, that we're pretty far down. I don't know, I'm not a diver, man, don't ask me.
How are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
The game starts with a wide open shot of the small submarine from the main menu screen. We hear the voice of a woman named Mary. She's talking to a man named Hans.
Hans, why don't we do the checklist before Rob's back?
Just a moment.
Really? And you didn't send us any?
The Oaxacan coffee bean is too delicate for such conditions. Under that kind of pressure, it would lose all its integrity.
Oh, I am sure. I'll stick with my tea then, thanks.
Yes. It appears the pirates are coming on board and killing all of us. Most interesting indeed.
The game's camera moves into the interior of the submarine, where we move into the perspective of the woman, Mary. Hans and Mary then go over safety checks in the submarine, but are interrupted by another man named Rob, who appears to be with Mary under the sea. However, he is already clearly outside the sub. I know this because he says it.
Wait status?
Almost back. Easy if you can get me out of here, Mary.
On my way, Rob.
Once you speak to him, you're cleared to get to diving, and you are now, of course, given full control of Mary. You can look around the submarine before leaving, but there's not much here to note. You meet with Rob outside the submarine, and it's revealed that you are down here to take photos of the dead and collect precious items from the oil rig disaster we played through as Kaz, which happened over 10 years ago now. And I mean, that kind of makes sense, because otherwise you wouldn't have a DLC that relates to Still Wakes the Deep. And with that being said, Chapter 1 starts. Chapter 1's entire main goal is finding the data logger, which could have kept some kind of information which may help people understand why the rig went down in the way it did and why there were no survivors. So basically just what happened in the rig's disaster that people don't know about. Because from what we're told, it seems like people above the sea don't really understand why the rig had any kind of fault in the first place, and it seemed to have just go under just like that. Chapter 1 starts off with you swimming a long way across the ocean to the wreck site of the oil rig. Looking around while swimming, you really get a sense of just how alone you are and how large and deep the ocean really is around you. On the way there, you can tell that Hans is above the sea in some kind of boat, making sure that you and Rob are okay down at the bottom of the sea floor. He's basically your guide and also your checker to make sure the sub's okay and your oxygen supply is okay, as well as everything else with your actual diving equipment. You end up not being able to get through an area that you were supposed to go through due to debris in the way, so have to go through a part of the rig that you can get in by opening a door with a crowbar. Once you go in, you can find a drawer that you can open. In it are some old photos which for some reason haven't deteriorated or been completely destroyed whatsoever. Mary decides to keep this photo so that she can give it to the family of whatever crew member it belonged to when the rig went down.
Rob, I found an old photo.
What? Still intact?
Yeah. What is CV/DB?
Dunno. An address?
I'll bring it back for later. Got it.
This of course introduces the collectibles system to the player. Collectibles are the only type of side activity you can find yourself being able to do in Siren's Rest. I normally hate collectibles in like every single game I play and always try my very best to skip or avoid them, but with this DLC there's only 30 collectibles and trust me, that seems like a lot, but it's really not when you find around 20 of them just through playing the main story and without having to actually look around for them, so it's really not that hard to find the other 10. The collectibles in my opinion are also kind of cool to get, as these are things that belong to the crew members that you've already met in the mainline game. So you get some extra lore on what they like doing and their backgrounds overall and who they were as people. You understand what their hobbies were, what sort of interests they had, and just overall background information on people you already knew from the mainline game. It's kind of cute and it pays really nice homage to the people you've already met in game, and overall it suits the DLC quite well that your diver would be collecting any items they can to give back to family members. It's a fine collectible system and it just gives players one more reason to actually replay the DLC once they've done with it, because the DLC is very short, so it's nice to actually have some side content to be able to do once you've completed the DLC. Unlike Still Wakes the Deep's main story, which literally was just the story. Granted, that was much longer than the DLC, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The collectibles are fine. As someone who normally can't stand collectibles, they're a welcome addition and I really enjoyed getting them. Continuing through the rig, sadly you come upon a body of one of the crew members of the rig. The body you find is identified as Vandermark. It's worth noting that Rob, your other diving friend, asks if you're somehow startled by this, implying that this is someone you might know, or maybe Rob might know, who died when the rig sank.
Fuck.
What?
A body.
Already. It's not.
No. This must be Vanderbilt.
It's not worth noting at all, and I'm sure it will have nothing to do with the main story of these two characters. You are then instructed to take a photo You are then instructed to take a photo of the dead body of the crew member, and this is basically the main core gameplay mechanic of the game. You'll find a dead body, then take a photo of the body so that the family member of the crew member who died can see their loved one's dead, rotted, decayed corpse. Sometimes their dead, rotted, decayed corpse isn't just decayed and dead and bones, but it has disgusting, what these characters obviously presume is seaweed growing through it, what we the player know to be horrific biomass that is probably the second coming of the Flood from Halo.
This is it, baby. Hold me.
I don't know why anyone in their fucking right mind would want to see their dead loved one's rotted corpse at the bottom of the ocean, let alone their dead, rotted loved one's corpse at the bottom of the ocean with flood infection form biles all growing through them. But it beats me, I guess. But that is the main gameplay mechanic around this DLC, and it's a little bit underwhelming to say the least. You travel through an area, you look around for collectibles, then when you go into the interior, you travel through a very linear area, you'll find bodies, more horrific bodies, take photos of them, and then that's basically the DLC. But we shall continue for the purpose of this video. After swimming a little further, you reach the main rig site. And it's very cool to actually see the rig down here, that you know that you were actually on in the main game. Even if you can't really ever make out what part of the rig you're actually at in correspondence with what part of the rig you would have been at in game, except for some very, very specific moments in the game where they make it extremely obvious, it's still quite fun to swim around the wreckage of the rig knowing that you were here as Kaz before, knowing of course everything you know about what happened. It's here where this part of the chapter opens up quite a bit, allowing the player to go off and find collectibles, bodies, and also learn more about the rig and the people that were on it through the collectibles. You can find lots of containers down here, a downed helicopter, and even a lifeboat, slowly revealing to both Rob and Mary how bad the tragedy really was, and some small parts of what happened, like no lifeboats were really launched and the helicopter crashed in the sea with someone in it, showing of course to Mary and Rob that the crew couldn't physically escape the oil rig as they had no lifeboats, no helicopter, and therefore no means of getting off. You can even go through a tunnel, and Mary will make a comedic comment about your cord you're attached to for some reason not getting caught in the tunnel, as you're actually attached to a cord that gives you your oxygen supply from the submarine. Let's actually talk about that cord. The cord the player is attached to is the game's way of trying to convince the player of a reason why Mary can go this far out and still have oxygen and not get lost, obviously so far away from a submarine. However, from a realistic point of view, this would never actually work in any kind of practical reality. This cord would not stretch anywhere near as far as the game depicts it would, and even if it could, it would just get completely tangled up and stuck the minute you go actually inside the rig. It just makes the game come across as really goofy and kind of childish to have this huge long cord following you, and it really does a great job at breaking immersion, not to mention all the bugs this causes. This cord is constantly clipping in and out of the ground, walls, ceilings, snapping violently back and forth on itself. Now, I get it's a bug, and bugs can be funny, and it is pretty funny and goofy, and it's a harmless bug. It doesn't really break the game, but it's so distracting when you're trying to enjoy an emotional moment or any form of the plot and dialogue, and you have this goofy cord smacking back and forth against a wall or clipping in and out of the ground. I only bring this up as a point as the first game was very grounded, very realistic, and had actual lore and had clearly shown actual research into how oil rigs work. There wasn't just a random moment in the game where the oil rig just collapses for some certain reason. The game explains to you through different characters why what's happening and why what's failing on the rig is failing because of what reasons and how you can fix it. Whereas this cord just seems so goofy and far-fetched. It's such a massive contrast with not only the DLC but also the original Still Wakes the Deep. And not to mention, there's these moments in the game where it's required required to detach from the cord, and they're supposed to be intense moments because the cord is stuck in something, or you need to go somewhere and the cord is not letting you go. So it places you on this timer where you have to get back to the cord in a certain amount of time, or your oxygen will deplete and you'll die. Only most of the time the cord will get stuck in a wall or clip into something, or just won't let you grab it, so you'll just die of lack of oxygen. And it's so annoying. It's really annoying, and it's such an annoying bug. The cord is a good idea in theory in keeping the world grounded, but in reality it's such a joke. It not only makes no sense from a practical reality point of view, and I can say that because the game is trying to be realistic and grounded, but it also makes no sense from an immersion point of view. Players are not going to feel immersed when you have this large, annoying ass goofy cord slapping around like a massive chode. Back to the game now, you move once again to enter the rig and go inside to try and find the data logger. However, the door is stuck shut. Your crowbar won't open it and just won't do the trick this time. So that means you're going to have to use a new tool, the power torch. Of course, to burn off the rust from the door so you can actually enter the rig and go inside. You use this tool throughout the game to open doors, destroy metal objects blocking your way, and also open vents. I really feel they could have done a lot more with this tool and all the tools they give the player. The players get the power torch, the flashlight, which can be used to see where you're going, of course, the crowbar, which can be used to open doors, and then later the flares, which you can use to light your way forward. Now, the flares being the only actually interesting tool, of course there is also the camera. Anyway, but out of the 4 actually main tools, there's nothing really interesting about them at all, and nothing interesting is done with them. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the power torch, it's fine and it's fun to use and all that, but I really thought this tool could have been used for so much more than just opening doors and prying bits of metal open for very specific moments in the game. But I'll talk more on that later. For now, all you need to know is that the tools are fine, but I think they could have been used in a much more fun way and a much more interesting way. Before going inside, the player can find what we know deep down to be that growth stuff from the base game, which took over and destroyed the rig. However, Marie and Rob have no idea what this could be, putting it down to being some new type of discovered coral that they just found, that could have been found this deep down at the bottom of the ocean.
This? No, it can't be.
What do you see?
Coral? But it's probably too cold and too deep for that.
Deepwater corals thrive in the North Sea. They like hydrocarbon-heavy waters.
I checked for protected reefs before this expedition. We have them all across the Norwegian coast. Came back negative.
But I guess people didn't know about these ones.
Well, we'll be able to report back on you finding when we finish.
Steady on, Cousteau. One step at a time.
Once you go inside the rig, you'll have to navigate it by moving through small passages, vents, and even by opening old doors. You may even have to push things out of the way sometimes to get through certain areas, such as cabinets or large metal pieces of frame that have deteriorated and fallen and blocked passageways through the rig. Eventually you will come across another body, this one being taken over by this growth we saw on the rig when we played as Kaz. This is clearly one of the growth's victims. Even though Marie does not know this, she is still shocked by this, and both her and Rob are not sure what this could be.
Holy shit!
What? What?
It's another body, but oh my god.
Mary?
It's been completely colonized, I guess, by some coral. Oh, this poor man.
What? I've never heard of that. Are you sure it's coral?
No, not sure at all, but Jesus.
Oh, definitely the fool for this one.
So logically, she takes out her camera and takes a photo of the disgusting mutilated corpse to show to the loved ones. Great. Mint, great job, Marie. I mean, to be fair, you'd probably want to document these horrific things that you're seeing, but it's still pretty funny. After this, you can get some interesting dialogue on Raynick, the funny shouty man who turns into Skibbity Toilet in the base game.
Tough management.
What was the name of the site manager?
David Rennick. Main man in the rig. Ruled with an iron fist, apparently.
So has his office been near you?
No, he had a perch up top.
That's a little ominous.
Yeah, but, you know, I met his twin grandkids. Rennick was meant to care for them that Christmas, but Cadal had put him on notice for under-delivery. So he stayed here with everyone else, and they all paid the ultimate price.
Yeah, fair play.
Even though Raynick is a complete asshole throughout Still Wakes the Deep, this is really sad to hear, and it's kind of interesting also to get some background information on him. Even if he was an asshole, he didn't deserve what happened to him. Moving through the rig, a part of it collapses and you are forced to swim very quickly to avoid also being crushed. There are a few sections like this in the game and they're fine, they spice it up a little bit, but what I find absolutely hilarious is still, your fucking cord makes it through this whole part of the rig. This whole section of the rig has just been crushed by fucking steel and concrete and who knows what else, but don't worry guys, your tiny little oxygen cord has somehow managed to funnel its way through just fine, even though if you had stayed there, you would have been completely crushed. Oh, I'm getting tired of this now. You can then find some more lore on some of the crewmates and how they died, and overall I will say it's quite sad but also very interesting to learn of how each person died, slowly revealing of course to Marie and Rob that what happened to this oil rig was a lot more sinister than they first thought.
Oh God. Oh no, I see what happened.
A body?
Yeah. I don't know who this is. Who worked in health and safety? God, I can't think straight.
Checking. Ah, shit, it's the King brothers.
No, then the body above is... God damn it! Damn it!
Continuing forward, you come across a door. Going through it, you discover something incredible, an air pocket in the rig where you can detach from your cord and walk around the rig to explore some more on foot without having to worry about water. You can find a lot of these, and I mean a lot of air pockets like this throughout the game, and it's here where you really are going to have to stretch your disbelief to the max. Having there be 1 or 2 air pockets would make sense, but the amount the DLC has is kind of ridiculous, not to mention the locations they have them in. Some of the locations they have them in just completely baffle me. For example, they have the whole of the living quarters as one large air pocket, which just makes so little sense. The place is a large square surrounded by windows on all sides. When we last saw what the living quarters looked like, it was completely under the water. So now to have the player believe it is somehow an air pocket, then the player would also have to think that the rig somehow fully sank, filled with water, then accommodation somehow fell into a perfect square space and then was covered up by rocks or other parts of the rig, making it an air pocket. Not to mention you would then have to believe that the water that was already in accommodation just completely cleared or was somehow drained. To top it all off, the first thing Mary, a seasoned trained diver, does when she stands up in the air pocket is take off her helmet to breathe in 10-year-plus old air.
I wonder.
You can't make this shit up, man.
You serious?
It's here in the first air pocket section where the horror picks up quite strong, with Mary clearly hearing sounds from the rig and overall the inside just being very, very creepy.
Huh? What the hell? Wait, what the fuck? Hello? Stupid.
Moving through the inside, you will be doing some minor and basic parkour that is just like the original parkour from the base game. Just don't fall, because if you do, the only jump scare in the game will trigger, that being the main character's screaming voice, which is louder than pretty much everything else in the game.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through.
Eventually you get to marine control, and this is one of the only parts of the game where I can actually look up and go, hey, I recognize this place from the base game. In marine control, Mary finds and picks up the data logger, and you can now keep moving forward. When you go to leave marine biology, a piece of debris falls and hits Mary. What you see will give every player a familiar feeling of hopelessness. You see the biomass from the main game, the same biomass Kaz saw when he got infected by that strange mass from Still Wakes the Deep's main story. You wake up in a field. You can hear a voice. The voice of a man. The voice talks about diving. Marie stands up and says nothing. It's clear that she's been taken back by this voice and this whole situation she's now in. But before she can say anything, she passes out, returning to reality. This is clearly a flashback, and it's like one of the ones Kaz had when he got infected by that strange biomass. Mary, now with no cord, manages to make her way back to the submarine. She finds Rob waiting for her, but on the way there, she spots a flare falling down into a deep, dark trench. Lighting it up on the way there, she can see the rest of the BRD rig. Please, I hope I'm getting that right. That is the name of the rig, by the way, the BRD. They'll say it at some point. Once she reaches the submarine, she tells him that they need to go deeper, as she saw the rest of the Burger D in the trench. Rob does not like the sound of this and says that it's far too dangerous to go 50 more meters down.
Tell me why I did that.
We need to descend into the trench.
What are you on about?
It's right there.
What's right there?
The rest of the Beta D.
What? How deep?
Just a bit down. It's...
Mary, how deep?
I'd estimate 50 meters.
50 meters? Fucking hell.
However, he is persuaded into going down by Mary. Once again, Mary relates the Beta D wreck to herself in some strange way, making Rob choose to give her the all clear to go further down into the trench.
You didn't breathe any of that air, did you?
No, of course not.
You know what Hans will say.
You think I have the narcs?
I don't know. Do you?
Look at me. I am not slurring. I'm not forgetting. I'm not disorientated.
50 more meters. And we'd have gone deeper than almost anyone ever has.
It's our only chance to find out what happened here. My one shot at trying to find something.
Rob, now.
Hans, we're all good here.
Hans, their man on the surface, hates this idea of going down and says they could fully lose connection to him if they do this.
About 50 meters deeper.
My God. We didn't plan for this. I can't in good conscience
I've
allow...
got to do it, Hans. I have to.
I would need rock-solid confidence that the communications will not go out if you are that deep. Has this been resolved?
Aye, we'll have no more connections coming loose.
We then have a time skip where they have gone further down, and for some reason, Rob just lets Mary go without following the safety checks. For fuck's sake, I thought these people were supposed to be qualified divers. This is something I learned in my first lesson, man.
You know what? Go on then.
What?
Yeah, I'll take care of things with the old man. You get a head start.
You're a fucking idiot.
Leaving the sub, you are introduced to another large open section. This section's not as good as the other open section. All you have to do to progress is move a container out the way so that you can once again make it inside the rig. I guess it's kind of a puzzle here because you have to actually figure out what you have to do. You only have to move a container, so overall it's very easy. As you move through the rig, you can find more and more disturbing bodies, really tipping off to Mary and Rob that something is seriously wrong. Rob radios you, telling you that he's found a recording from the data logger you recovered. Playing it is chilling, and both Rob and Mary deep down know there was really something deeply wrong with the rig.
Extract a recording from the data logger. Wanna listen with me?
Yes, definitely.
Say no to my officer. Come down here myself. Come back on that.
Get away from the edge! Guys! Get back!
That's all that happened.
So an explosion, that explains all this.
Why? What can you do?
Try to.
No. Yeah, you wouldn't have had a chance.
Fuck.
and they comment on it. The audio log clearly captures the initial explosion of the rig, and you can even hear a monster-like scream and someone shout for Kaz when he falls off the rig. We experience this in-game in the original Still Wakes the Deep story. The audio log is very chilling, and it's very clear that both Marie and Rob are getting more and more uncomfortable with the situation. You can even hear Rainik's voice at the very start of the recording. After traveling a little while through the Bearer D, you reach another air pocket and detach from your cord. In this section, you are tasked with using switches to open doors on a rusted 10-plus-year-old oil rig that is mostly destroyed, but somehow the game wants you to believe that these switches on the fucking oil rig still work. Okay, let's just keep going. You attach back to the cord and then head back under the water after this section. It's a cool thing in theory to have these little puzzle sections, but it does nothing to help the lore. Rob finds another audio recording. Playing it, you hear Rainik give the evacuation orders. This one is even worse than the first one, and once again you hear the vile mass scream and sound like it's killing someone on the rig.
Salvaged on the recording. Do you want to hear it now?
Go ahead.
This is an evacuation order. Get to the helipad. Something's wrong in it. Abandon it. There's no one left. Get to the helipad right now.
Mary and Rob are even more shocked and torn up by this one this time, and now are becoming very, very worried about the Bearer D tragedy not being a simple oil rig sinking, but something much, much deeper. It's here where they're clearly unsettled to another level.
Shit, that was horrible.
Fuck. Those poor people. I never knew it was gonna happen.
Moving through a vent system, there's another collapse, and Mary has to swim for it. Mary makes it out by the skin of her teeth, but her cord is now stuck, and now she is forced to detach and swim forward without it. It's here where Mary realizes the mistake she has made in going back in the rig and wants out.
Come on, you bastard! You're cutting out! The umbilical's stuck! I can't get it loose! What the hell was that? I don't know. Somewhere with tanks, big water tanks.
Rob tells her to meet with him, and they will then try to find a way out of the rig together.
Okay, I'll find it.
On the way to meet up with Rob, your flashlight breaks, making it pretty much impossible to see anything. Luckily for you, Rob has lit a flare so that you can see where he is. When you approach him, Mary finally loses it, breaking down, telling Rob that she thinks something is down here with them and that they need to get out of there.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Rob, there's something in.
What?
This place is collapsing on me. I don't know what to do.
There's got to be something.
Rob tries to reassure Marie, trying to make light of the situation and telling Mary to find a way out, and then they'll meet up together.
Rob!
I have a ton of these flares. Take them. Listen, you're going to find a gap. You're going to come out. We'll have 2 weeks in decompression. And you can force me to listen to simple lines on repeat if you like.
You have to sing all the la-la-las this time.
I promise. Right, go on. I'll see you at the bell in a minute. Don't you forget about me, yeah?
Yeah.
This moment in the game is quite human, and I really think that even if I have problems with this DLC, Still Wakes the Deep and this DLC consistently make likable characters that have incredibly human and likable and understandable interactions, and I have huge respect for that from the devs part. In this sort of situation, this is how I picture two real-life human beings actually talking to each other, and not many games get that right, so bravo to the team at Still Wakes the Deep for creating such human-like connections and conversations.
I never want this night to end.
I hear you. You know, and all the celebration, we didn't get a chance to really talk.
The next section has you navigate through the rig using nothing but your flare, now given to you by Rob. This section is genuinely really good. I wish there were more moments like this in the game where you had limited light and were using flares to find your way. It really helps create a very unsettling atmosphere, which works very well for this game. You end up stopping to hear what first sounds like Rob talking to you. However, very quickly, it becomes more clear that this is not Rob's voice. Before Marie can react, behind her, a huge mess of flesh and disgusting creature appears, sneaking up on you, the player, and now you must run. Run as fast as you can. Running, you make it to a door, and then you are greeted with a very, very strange sight. Going through the door, you see a familiar sight of a clean oil rig accommodations room. This is the same room you walked through and started in as Kaz in Still Wakes the Deep before it all went so tragically wrong. You're there. You've finally made it to the crew cabins, but you're not in the present. Something is clearly wrong. It's clear that there's some kind of connection between the rig. You hear the voice of a man, the same man you've been hearing for a while now. Marie calls out to it, and she believes it to be her father.
Dad? Dad? I can hear you.
And then it hits you. It's clear that Mary had someone who died on the rig, who was her father. But who? Now, you don't know who this is, unless you recognize the voice, of course. You end up finding Brody's living quarters, and end up picking up a photo on his desk. It's here it's revealed that Brody is Marie's father. This explains so much. Why Marie needed to know so bad what happened to the people on Beredi, and why she wanted to dive in the first place. As you pick up the photo, player is reminded, however, that Marie is infected by the creature, and that this is therefore most likely a flashback or vision of some kind. Marie is not dead, not been turned into the creature, not become flesh, or not drowned. She's simply experiencing a vision, something we know the creature does. Waking up from that vision, you're still in Brody's room, just this time it's completely destroyed and you're around 200 meters under the sea. You can look around the crew's bedrooms and find interesting and cool collectibles. After that, you will have to move out once more. You make it out of the rig and head to the submarine. Making it inside, Rob is nowhere to be found, and you can't seem to signal to Hans.
Hans, what's going on? Rob's not in the bell. Where is he? Hans, are you there?
Mary hears something outside the sub. Then it happens. The sub appears to be attacked by that creature. Mary is knocked out, and when she wakes... Get it? Wakes? Like still wakes? The sub is filling with water at a rapid rate, meaning it's not very likely that she will be able to make it back to the surface. Instead, probably knowing this, she decides to set out to look for Rob. Going down, you are finally greeted by it, the Siren, the monster that has been stalking you and causing collapses all throughout the DLC's runtime. Wow, it only took an hour and 45 minutes and you can now actually experience some real gameplay. The stealth works the exact same way from the original Still Wakes the Deep's base game and story. You have to move through a small open section to avoid the monster by hiding in small parts of the rig left floating as debris. You can also use your flares just like you could use objects in the original Still Wakes the Deep story as throwables to distract the monster. Only this time, there's a twist. You'll need to be careful. If you hold the flares too long, you'll attract the monster to your location. This section of the game is actually really fun, and you actually finally feel the difference in the movement compared with the original Still Wakes the Deep due to you being under the water swimming. The movement has a lot more flow, and it makes the horror sections feel a lot more intense. But the issue is, this section of the game lasts for around 10 minutes, and that's it. And that's the problem. What the player has been waiting for the whole DLC for it to just end in 10 minutes. You stealth around the creature for an open section, then you do one final chase where you swim away from the creature, and that's literally it. You do 2 open sections and 1 chase with this creature, lasting at best 10 minutes. Not to mention there could have been so much more done here. I mentioned the equipment being put to waste earlier, and I want to talk about that now. What if you could use some of that against the monster? Use the welding torch and stun the monster for a second, allowing you to escape, or use the regular torch to blind the monster for a few seconds, allowing you to escape, or maybe use the crowbar to bang on metal to allow you to attract the monster to your position, or something like this. And hell, have this happen throughout the whole game. Why was this monster left till the very last 10 minutes of the DLC? It felt like they weren't sure whether to include it or not. Instead, we spent half the DLC really doing nothing, and overall it adds nothing to the lore of Still Wakes the Deep until the very last 10 minutes. Not to mention how much this confuses the lore. Throughout Still Wakes the Deep's main story, it's very clear that when the monsters go under the water, they drown. It's as simple as that. It's implied with a deer, we see it happen to Raynick, and overall, most of the creatures die in quite normal human ways. These creatures obviously still need their hosts in some kind of way to be able to survive themselves. So that brings me to the question, who even is this monster? Everywhere I look has a different answer. Some people say it's Kaz from the main game, which would make little sense as, well, you know, he's not drowned, and also he should have died in the explosion, literally being eviscerated by the end of the game. Some people say it's Rob, infected, which would kind of make sense, but no, it wouldn't really. Then other people seem to think it's the original host monster, which could make sense because at the core of it, this monster did come from under the sea in some kind of way. Originally, I thought it was just the beating heart, but it could be this Siren, this monster. But even that's a bit strange, because in order for the monsters to move, I thought they needed a host. But the fact that when Kaz blew up the rig, this host creature wasn't destroyed is incredibly far-fetched. Don't get me wrong, I like this end part of the game, and I think it really does well at merging the stealth sections from the original with the swimming and the horror aspect. But overall, I think so much more could have been done with this, and we're left with way more questions than we are answers, and not in a good way. Once you escape the monster, you end up swimming towards a door. It's here where Marie's oxygen clearly starts to run out. She talks about how she wishes she never came down here and how sorry she is to Rob, and also how she just wants to see her father.
I'm so sorry. I brought you into this. I should have. I'm so sorry.
She slowly starts to lose her breath, and then the screen fades to black. You then wake up once again in front of the same door, this time being able to swim a lot faster. Swimming through the door, you find yourself in a familiar field, where you have been before many times. Mary once again is confused and comments on the fact that she's here.
Hello? Hello?
Rob. But then she says something incredibly important. She says that this is her home.
I can't be here. I can't be home.
Telling us that she truly does recognize this area, and also telling us that this is probably somewhere in Scotland.
Scotland forever!
The further you go, the more Mary recognizes. Mary even calls out to her father, and then we see him, sitting on the edge of the shore. Walking up to him, we can speak with him. At this point, you probably assume that Marie is dead, as her father continues to now talk about having diving lessons. This was clearly a memory, a core memory of Marie, and was most likely her first diving lesson with her father. Marie keeps trying to reach out to him and talk to him, but he just talks over her.
What?
What's the problem this time? The Floddigary fairies only come once a century to pull men under. No chance they'll come today. You'd have to think of something. You're mad, do you, if you let the fairies take me?
Oh, I remember this.
Drain the sea! You drain the whole sea for me. Anything to get out of diving, huh?
This clearly being nothing more than a flashback. Then behind Marie appears to be all of the crew members from the Bearer D. In front of Brody then appears the oil rig itself in this incredible and amazingly ominous shot. It's here you're given the option to let go or to hold on to Brody.
Just hold on to me.
If you choose to hold on to Brody, then you look up at the rig, and slowly the credits appear, showing that Marie has joined her father and all the other lost ones in the Bearer D wreckage, and now can be laid to rest at sea. Now this ending is pretty fitting for the game's overall theme and end, even though they have this Avengers R shot, which shows that they don't want to keep working on this game and clearly want to move on to other projects, in my view at least. It's a really nice shot and a really nice send-off to all of the crew of the Bearer D. I only have one gripe with this ending, and I wish that it was revealed that Marie's dad was in fact Kaz and not Brody. It's just a personal thing, but I thought it would have been a little bit more impactful if you were Kaz's daughter, the main character of Still Wakes the Deep, and not Brody's. But the game still works fine, and it's overall a good twist and plays into the narrative, and it's actually one of the better things about Sirens Rest's story. Overall, this ending is fine, and it's done pretty well. The good ending sees Marie let go of her father, returning to reality. She's pulled away by Rob, who says that he has got her, and well, that's it. The screen fades to black. This ending is really wholesome, but from a lore point of view, it makes little sense. Like, how are they going to get back to the actual surface? Are they just going to drown down there or run out of oxygen? And they don't even have a sub, so it's not like they can swim. Like, are they just going to be magically fine now? And this is the most important one. The whole point of Still Wakes the Deep's main story is that the minute that explosion went off, they were all doomed, as they were all infected. So they had to die. Mary has clearly been infected, so now what? Is she just gonna be brought to the mainland and bring back the horrific creature-like disease that kills everyone? Or is she just gonna die down here and turn into one? Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that there is a good ending, and I think it's good that the series ends on a good ending, but it leaves us once again with so many questions and just no answers, and not in a good way. Before I give my final rating and verdict of the game, now I want to talk about some other things in the game. To start with, the soundtrack is nothing short of brilliant, and the music fits the game very well. Visually, the game looks beautiful, and the graphics look stunning, and also, the difficulty feels very fair. In conclusion, Sirens Rest is a DLC that adds nothing to Still Wakes the Deep's main story, outside of some great characters and a decent plot. The gameplay can both be interesting, exploring the wreck of the Bearer D, and also incredibly boring at times, with little action for the player to engage with. Very few things stand out with the DLC, and so much more could have been done with both the story and the new gameplay mechanics. The DLC is buggy and overall hurts the lore of Still Wakes the Deep. The DLC does have great visuals and music, however nothing new overall. It feels that the devs wanted people to know that this DLC is their last way of showing appreciation to Still Wakes the Deep before they move on to new IPs. Overall, I'm going to be giving a final rating of this DLC, Sirens Rest, a 5 out of 10. A fine DLC that overall adds nothing new or important to the Still Wakes the Deep IP and lore.